What casual, everyday, totally normal thing makes you cry? When I go drive around certain areas. Kinda weird how nostalgia can be so tied to places. Every few months I make the trip to my hometown, past the house I grew up in, etc. and have a good cry every time. It's not quite the same, but cheaper. Every so often, I'll hop on Google Maps and go look up some places I used to live, or places I've visited, and bum around on Street View and check out what the area looks like nowadays. I'm a sympathetic crier. If someone around me is tearing up, I am too. No idea why. Wish I could stop, because it can make for awkward moments. Same. My friend's mom died when we were teens. The priest at the funeral thought I was the daughter because I was crying more. Awkward. Oh man. Funerals are the worst for that. When I see a really old person gingerly walking their really old doggy, I secretly wish that they can pass away together at the same time so neither one has to miss the other. You know what you have to do. Hold it right there. Mom tells me she loves me before hanging up the phone. For me, it's reading about other people's moms that love them. My mom loved me. I know she did, but she wasn't super mentally healthy. I called her on a Friday. We chatted for a while. It was a completely normal conversation. She was on the Bluetooth in my car and talked to my kids. Just about things going on in our lives. Nothing out of the ordinary. The next morning she sends me a text and a picture about the flowers I had sent her a few days earlier. How they made her happy. An hour later she killed herself. So reading about other people's moms. Yeah, that does it for me. Great music or movies. I get super emotional, even if it's not particularly sad. If something is executed perfectly, there's just something transcendental about watching Garfield 2, A Tale of Two Kitties. As years go by I find myself crying to everything. Cartoons, movies, soap operas, random YouTube videos. Like even if they're not supposed to be that emotional, I'm an ocean of tears. Especially have noticed that rewatching things I watched as a kid or teenager that back then had no effect on me. And now I'm like literally I have to pause it because the tears are blinding me. Like I connect to the fictional characters in such a way. As if it was me who was living that. Yes. Disney movies have that effect on me as an adult. I absolutely loved them as a child, but was maybe more interested in the humor and romance, or whatever. Now, I'll listen to Colors of the Wind and it just hits differently. When I'm on my period, all bets are off. Stub my toe. Cry. See a Subaru commercial? Cry. Someone tells me that they think I'm a great friend? You get the picture. Sobs, it's just such a beautiful Subaru. Apostrophe. Love. That's what makes a Subaru. A Subaru. Sob. I don't cry. But when I see strangers helping each other, or if someone helps me with something I get a little soft inside. A couple weeks ago, I told someone I appreciate you instead of I appreciate that, and ever since, it seems like every time I do something nice, even as small as holding a door for someone, they say I appreciate you. It feels nice. So now I say I appreciate you often. I started saying I appreciate it in place of thanks, because it felt like it conveyed my gratitude better. When I worked retail I had a customer say I appreciate you to me. It felt so nice I started saying that more often instead. Seeing homeless people with pets. I've been in their shoes and I know how hard every day is. For me, homeless people in general makes me super sad. Imagining not having a home, or a family that cares about you. Sometimes they do, which is maybe sadder. Seeing postings for lost pets. My pet cat got lost 7 years ago. It still hurts sometimes. There is a cat in my mom's neighborhood that came to visit regularly. She disappeared for a few months, and I was so ducking worried. Luckily she reappeared, and I'm so happy, but isn't coming every day anymore sadly. Healthy family dynamics. I was gonna say, I tear up when I see a dad and his child interacting and displaying a healthy dynamic/emotional bond. Anything sentimental related to family just gets me every time. Even if it's on a fictional TV show or something. Same. Makes me happy to see, but also sad that I didn't experience that. Snuggling my red belly parrot. I love her so much that I frequently tear up when giving her scritches and kisses. I've had her 20 years now and it still happens a couple of times a week. Or exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Now I'm crying. I have 3 birds and wish any one of them liked me enough to cuddle. Any advice? I got her when she was a baby. She chose me in a pet store. She flew onto me and I could not get her off. I took her home. She was my 3rd bird, so I knew how to care for her properly. The first thing she said, other than her name, was "I love you." I cried for a solid hour. I rescued another bird a couple of years later. She likes me, but it is not the same. I think falling in love with a bird is the same as falling in love with a person. It's mostly luck. When an elderly person is working a menial job like fast food or at a dollar store, I always hope they are still working because they like being active and socializing. I just don't want to imagine my parents ever having to work when they are past a usual retirement age, since both of them work poor paying jobs already. Exactly. My mom just went back to school in her 50s, which is dope and I applaud her for it. But she always going to work into her 90s and I'm like, onions. Fair. Fried is better. Being tired and hungry. If I'm super tired and hungry, every stupid little thing just makes me want to cry. It doesn't even matter if they're sad events or not. It'll remind me of something sad and off I go. If I get dinner and a good night's sleep, I'm back to my normal stoic self. Yep. I have cried from just being too tired many times. Pets passing. Anyone's pets. I get myself all choked up a few times a year, thinking about having to say goodbye to my dog someday. I've had this issue since we adopted him as a puppy. Now that he's 11 and has cancer, I'm crying more and more often. I'm not ready. And there I go again. This happens to me all the time. Sometimes when we're out walking in the woods somewhere and he comes bounding back towards me with a huge smile on my face, I find myself thinking that if heaven is real and I get to go there, that will be the first thing I see. And yup, tearing up just writing this. Being held by someone that cares and understands your pain. It's better than sex. Edit. It feels like coming up for air after years of being trapped in a watery darkness you had no idea you were ever in. After they let go, it's like withdrawal, and you can finally let your feelings wash over you. After they leave, it's like withdrawal. It really is. I used to want to try cocaine, but now I'm less inclined. Subs for Lunch described it really well. What's that like? Bending cards in a card game. Pretty boring. Edit. WTF, first time I got over 600 upvotes. THX fellas. TBH. Binding a Black Lotus card from MTG. I would cry myself too. I bent so many good MTG cards. 2 special islands. 1 Viraska Planus Walker. 1 Green Demigod. 1 Nezahul Primal Tide. IDK if you know that card. 1 Servo Creature Token Despenser card. And many more. Dads having a special day out with their daughters. It was always my absolute favorite moments as a child. Going to museums and things with my dad. Now I work in a museum, and when I see them having a day out I get all teary-eyed. Then I call my dad and tell him how much I love him. I was at a pool once, and I overheard a dad singing to his baby about how much he loves her and will protect her forever. He was singing quietly and obviously thought no one could hear, but I did, and I was silently crying while tanning. When my 3-year-old tells me she loves me, most days I feel like a complete failure of a parent, but knowing that little girl loves me just makes me well up. This! Exclamation mark. When my 3-year-old starts singing to me, I know he's happy and that's all that matters. My 2-year-old telling my 9-month-old that she loves him gets me every time. Or running to give him a kiss and fetching his teddy when he is crying. My mother left when I was young. I have young kids now. Sometimes the stupidest kid songs make me start to cry. I cannot imagine abandoning my child. So hearing "You Are My Sunshine" and imagining leaving the way my mother did just wrecks me. I'm so sorry. I know that is a wound that doesn't heal and sometimes it hurts like it just happened for the first time. I'm so proud that you're a good mother and that you love so deeply. I wish more people were like you. I hope life is kinder now. I wish you laughter and joy. I love you, internet stranger. Work. It sure is tough acting every day. when I see a gathering of nations, for example, Olympics or Edinburgh Castle Army drumline battle, the sort. Always get super emotional. Oh man. I'm such a sap for the Olympics. I know there's tons of corruption etc. But I'm a total sucker for the opening ceremony. The tearjerker human interest stories. The dramatic wins and close calls. Chills and tears every day. I think it's because, despite the bullshit from national bodies and crooked organizers and all that, by and large the athletes are just people. A whole bunch of rather regular people from a whole bunch of countries, who often work regular jobs and lead regular lives, coming together for this big international spectacle, where, even when their home nations are the worst representations of humanity, these athletes as individuals have an opportunity to, and usually live up to, representing the best of humanity, demonstrating what is possible when people are at their best, both on and off the track / court / field / arena. Seeing parents actually loving their kids. I haven't actually cried in public over it, but the closest I came was when working retail and seeing moms running to their kids after they've been lost and we've had the whole store looking for them. They weren't angry that they'd wandered off. They were relieved that they were okay. I don't know why, but that made me tear up. Welcome to the club. Inanimate objects that have sentimental value to someone being discarded or thrown away. I can't stand to think about someone losing a beloved toy, and I can hardly bring myself to throw away a paper plate if I've accidentally personified it somehow. I have these goods with googly eyes I make every year, and I've had to convince myself that they reincarnate into next year's goods so that I don't cry when they start to go bad and I have to put them in the garbage. A lost glove crushes me. Not only did someone lose it, but now the mate is useless. Someone who listens to you vent and just ramble on and genuinely cares. Yes, especially if I've been holding it together and then I see a friend or my brother and they say, "Hey, you okay? Need a hug?" It's like the dam breaks and everything comes spilling out. Dude, facts. My GF and best friend are really the first people who really did that kind of thing for me. They always seem to know when I'm in a bad mood, even though I'm usually able to hide that from everyone else. Every time one of those two ask if something is up, it all breaks loose. Just like that, and I can't stop it. Sometimes though, it just feels good to let it out while someone is there to comfort you. My friend has since moved to Korea because his father is a military member, but I'm still dating my GF after 1.5 years. And this is probably partly why. Stuffed animal neglect. Stop leaving them outside in the rain, you sick ducks. Open bracket. Seeing my cat sleeping peacefully at the foot of my bed. Cats know they are vulnerable when they sleep, so they seek somewhere where they'll be safe. And when I see her sleeping peacefully, it shows she feels safe with me. It always makes me tear up. The show called The Midwife. Basically every damn episode has got me tearing up in some way. And I'm not even a mom, unless fur mom counts, lol. Having to talk on the phone without time for preparation. Really having to ask something, or talk to someone, and being too afraid to do so. Social anxiety really ducking sucks. Oh my god, this. To make it worse, I work as a call center representative, and I get extremely awkward and silent on the phone when I don't know the answer to something. I work from home, and I can't text someone and be like, "Yo, what's the answer?" until I inevitably lose the call or transfer and get scolded. So when I'm messaging friends on Facebook and I see the words "we should voice a chat / call me" so I can explain better than through text, I immediately drop the conversation. I know it's rude, but I'm just a genuine awkward person and I spend the entirety of my day speaking on the phone. Old people. OMG yes, especially old couples being affectionate with each other, or just holding hands while walking or something. Wow. OHH my god yes. I burst into tears in a cafe once watching an old couple eat breakfast, and she saved her last slice of bacon for him because she knew he'd eat it quickly and be sad it was gone. They were just the cutest, and still so deeply in love. It was written all over their faces. Guitar solos in music. I have absolutely no idea why this happens, but 9 times out of 10, if I hear a good guitar solo in a song, it makes me tear up. Edit. For anyone that wants a recommendation, A deeper understanding by the war on drugs is absolutely full of these. I highly recommend Pain and Strangest Thing. People being sympathetic toward me and actually meaning it. Like, my birth giver walked out on us at the beginning of the year and left my father as the sole caretaker of their 7 other kids. Then my father got sick and had to be hospitalized and couldn't work. Then had to get surgery and was on antibiotics that prevented him from working even longer. And he recently revealed he has to get eye surgery, which will put him out of work again more than likely. Through all of this, my coworkers have just been so supportive, offering me hugs, or just to talk, or just whatever I need. I'm so sorry for this. I just want to ask, what's a birth giver? Get the impression that they hate their mom, and instead of calling them mother they are instead using the term birth giver. For a few years after my grandma died, I couldn't make my bed from scratch with clean sheets without crying. It was something we did together, and she taught me very specifically how to do it. Depression. That sucks. Just know we are all here if you ever need something. When anyone speaks with a slightly angered voice, like yeah, I understand. I'm the most disgusting person you've ever talked to, and you hate everything about me. You don't have to rub it in. Mayo. I get this as well. It's related to my ADHD and is called rejection sensitive dysphoria. It can be really brutal when it snowballs with anxiety when my brain, usually erroneously, decides I have upset or disappointed someone. Holy shit. Everything makes so much more sense now. Cats meowing. I'm used to it with my own cats, but any other cat I come across that meows will send me into a blubbering mess. What a blurse. I always get a cuteness seizure. I just have to pet it and will be really sad when it walks away. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.